What is up, everybody? Cliff Ravenscraft here, and this is going to be a different episode of the Cliff Ravenscraft Show than I think I may have ever produced on this particular show. I have to manually open up my garage door here, and I'm going to be taking you on the road with me. I'm getting ready to go have lunch. I'll explain who I'm having lunch with in just a second. I'm opening the door of my 1974 Volkswagen Beetle. Sitting in my swivel seat here. I haven't actually driven this car in a couple weeks. Hopefully she'll start right up for me. Oh, okay, let's try that again. Oh yeah. Alright, so I need to back out of the garage and then I have to go manually close the garage door. And I'll be right with you guys and I'll explain to you why a different format for this week's episode. Alright, close this garage door. Alright. Bear with me for 1 second. I'm going to put my seatbelt on. Alright. And I just leave it in neutral as I roll out of the driveway here. And as soon as I start down the road, I will begin sharing with you what I'm doing today, why a different episode format for this week's episode of the Cliff Ravenscraft Show. Alright, so here's the thing. I have not recorded a handheld digital audio recorder podcast episode in so long, and I am noticing that I am peaking my audio, so let me see if I can bring the audio level down here, because I want really good audio quality. What you may not know, some of you who have maybe just started listening to me within the last 2 years, is that I have tons of experience creating content just like this. Not inside of my studio with my amazing Heil PR40 and my compressor limiter gate and all that other stuff, but I've recorded thousands of podcast episodes in the past 12 years with nothing more than a digital recorder in my hand and sharing what's going on in my life, what's going on in my head, what's going on in my heart, what experiences am I having in life while I'm out on the go. And most of that content had been done while I was walking through a neighborhood, or I've actually even recorded on-the-go, handheld podcast episodes with nothing more than a digital audio recorder and an external microphone clipped to my lapel or my shirt while riding a bicycle. I've done that, a road bike. But this is the very first time I'm recording one of these episodes inside of Abigail. Abigail is the name of my 1974 Volkswagen Beetle. And I actually have to be in Florence, Kentucky in 15 minutes from now. And I noticed that my gas tank is, the needle is in the middle of the R, which is for reserve. So I think I'm going to have to stop and get gas in this car. Anyway, what's crazy is that I've been thinking about the format of the Cliff Ravenscraft Show. And for me, when I think about this podcast, what is the Cliff Ravenscraft Show? I think of this podcast as an opportunity for me to come and share with you guys a solo hosted show. That's primarily what I think of when I think of this podcast. I think of it as me, Cliff Ravenscraft, coming to you guys, sharing with you the things that I'm learning, the things that I'm experiencing, and all that other stuff. And sometimes it's prepared ahead of time. It's the things that I want to share with you this outline of content that I know is going to add value to your life. Sometimes it's right off the top of my head, hey guys, this is what I've been up to this week, and this is what I'm thinking. These are some experiences I've had, and this is how I'm feeling about those experiences. This is what I'm doing as a result of those feelings. It's like, it's been, whatever. It's always been, hey, this is Cliff Ravenscraft. This is what's going on. And then Free the Dream, 2018, it came time to market that, and I felt like, hey, it would make a lot of sense for me to introduce to you guys the amazing team of speakers that are coming to the Free the Dream 2018 event, which happened this past September. And as a result of that, I invited each of my speakers, each of the 10 speakers that I had coming to Free the Dream, to be a guest on the show to have a conversation with them. And that was received extremely well. Of course, I knew it would be because, obviously these people are very important people in my life. I knew that they would add tremendous value at the conference, and there was no doubt in my mind that value would be felt in an episode of the Cliff Ravenscraft Show. And so as a result of that, I brought those conversations to you guys, and it was extremely successful. But that was, if you can imagine, 10 weeks pretty much back to back of me having conversations with people. And that's 10 weeks without me having a lot of solo interaction, just me and you guys. And I miss that. But at the same time, I realized just how valuable those conversations were, and I enjoyed that. And when I came back from Free the Dream, I realized, hey, I need to really market the Next Level Mastermind. I would like to get that membership to full capacity. I have two different groups that meet, that I facilitate, the AM group and the PM group of the Next Level Mastermind. Each group can have up to 12 members, and I'd like to add some additional members. I've got some empty seats that I would love to fill. I would love to do life with a handful of more, additional people that I could personally be involved in their personal and professional growth and expose them to these environments that I've created with these two different groups. I mean, it's life transformational experiences for everyone involved, and obviously it is actually the number one source of revenue for my business as well. This income stream of paid mastermind groups it's what initially replaced that podcasting A to Z income when I shut down podcasting A to Z. And so I would like to fill those groups up. So I began some marketing strategy, planning, and thoughts. And then, of course, I've got other products and services. I've got workshops. Got a bunch of cars here. The traffic here, there's some road construction, and there was it merges down to one lane, and this guy was hesitant to get in front of my 1974 Volkswagen Beetle, my dream car. I can't believe I'm driving my car today. It's a beautiful day today. So anyway, as I was thinking about the marketing strategy of Next Level Mastermind, and I also have the Next Level workshops that I do from time to time, these building an online business workshops that I do in my home. And I also do one-on-one mentoring with people, and I also do what else do I do? And I've got this, this Free the Dream online course product. This is where you can go through and experience what those folks that came to Free the Dream 2018, they experienced live. You can experience that online, and I even have somebody that I want to interview there that purchased access to the Free the Dream product, the online version of Free the Dream. Her husband, I think, purchased it for her, I believe, and also sent her away, and she basically in the same town reserved a hotel room and went and did her own Free the Dream experience getaway. And she's like, this has been transformational for me. I broke down in tears so many times. I've never come away from any online course with a strategic plan like what I have here. This is so incredible. And so there's people like that I want to, and I'm like, I just saw how powerful it was and how effective it was just to have conversations with the speakers. I thought, man, what if I just brought in some conversations with people that I do life with through the products and services, so people can see, who is hiring Cliff, who is working with Cliff, what value are they getting out of that, and I, with the understanding that I know that some of you out there listening, you're going to resonate with these people. You're going to say, hey, that's not so unlike me. I should really consider this. And in fact, what they're talking about, man, if I could get that and experience those benefits, that's exactly what I've been waiting for. It's what I've been looking for. And I think it would be incredibly more, impactful if you're hearing that from other people who are paying for those services versus me, the person selling those services. I mean, I can tell you day and night the extreme amount of value that you would get out of working with me through these products and services, but man, I think if you could hear it from people who are actually paying for them and resonate with their stories, I think that could be beneficial. So I got to think, it's like, I know what I'll do as a part of one of the things that I'll do in my marketing strategy is to have more conversations. So I created a list of people that I'd love to interview. And so I came back from Free the Dream, and I interviewed Clint Schumacher, which you've already heard in the podcast feed. He was a person that I worked with in my one-on-one mentoring package. And I think you've already heard from Casey Price, who is a member of the Next Level Mastermind, Paul Thompson, who's a member of the Next Level Mastermind. And I've released all of these episodes, and the thing is I'm like, okay, wait a second. When do I get to share with you guys what's on my mind? Because I know that I do that in my vlog, but I know that there are thousands of you who are listening to this podcast and hundreds of people who watch my vlog content. That means that there are thousands of you who listen to this show who never watch any of the vlog content that I put online, which is perfectly fine. I don't expect you to. But I want to reach you guys with the same kind of valuable insights that I've got in my heart to share with you, that right now that's primarily only been going out to people who are subscribed to my vlog on YouTube or subscribed to my email newsletter. And I just feel like, you know what, I want to have, I don't want the Cliff Ravenscraft Show just to be an interview format podcast. Yeah. And yesterday was Tuesday. I think it was the 23rd. I can't look at my watch right now because I'm holding the recorder. But anyway, yesterday was Tuesday, and I recorded 2 more of those conversations. I recorded a conversation yesterday morning with Tom Griffith, and he's a member of the Next Level Mastermind. And I recorded a conversation yesterday afternoon with my friend Peter Adal. Now, Peter is not a member of the Next Level Mastermind, but he is somebody that I've had the pleasure of doing life with through products and services. He was a member of the podcast mastermind that I used to do years ago for 2 years. He has attended a Next Level workshop here in my home, and he also attended Free the Dream. So I had 2 more recorded conversations, and my idea was that one of those 2 would be this week's episode of the Cliff Ravenscraft Show. But part of me is like, okay, wait a second. When do I get my own solo episode in? I don't want to lose the identity of what this show's main focus, main purpose is. And so today I decided, you know what, I'm going to record a solo hosted episode of the Cliff Ravenscraft Show. And I want to get this episode online for you guys and share with you what's going on my mind and what's going on in my heart, and do a solo hosted show. Now, the thing is when do I record that? Today is Wednesday, And one thing that I do every single Wednesday, I get up in the morning and by 7 a.m., my wife and I head out the door and we go to Planet Fitness. We go to the gym, we work out for an hour. I'm on the Stairmaster for an hour. I absolutely love it. I come home, get showered, get changed. Then by 9:30 in the morning, I am in my office, ready to go, facilitating the morning group, the AM group of the Next Level Mastermind. Every Wednesday morning from 9:30 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time, I am facilitating a 90-minute meeting for the members of the Next Level Mastermind AM group. Now, as I am recording this, we have 10 members in that group. We have 2 open seats. So if you're interested, nextlevelmastermind.info, you can become a member of that group. Now, I am trying to determine right here, I have 8 minutes to get to my destination, and I am looking at my gas levels, and I think I'm going to pull over and put some gas in my car. Because I have a feeling that I'm running on fumes, and I should have thought about this ahead of time. But anyway, so at 11 o'clock, I finish my AM group of the Next Level Mastermind, and the first thing that I do is I take the chat transcript and I post it into Basecamp, our discussion forum, and then I take the audio recording of that group and I upload it. I process it as a weight recording, make it an MP3 recording, and I share it in Basecamp so that everybody can have it to review if they want to listen to it again, or if anybody happens to miss, they can actually go through and listen to that recording. So I do that, and then I usually have a few moments to spare before my next scheduled appointment, which I'll tell you about after I put gas in the car. And I'm back. All right, I have a full tank of gas, which is hilarious. My Bug has, I think it must be like a 5.5 gallon tank. So it doesn't take very much to fill it up, but as a result of that, it doesn't take much to empty it either. All right, good news is that I have texted my wife and my friend James, and they both know that I had to stop and get gas. I did that as a group text so that my wife and James can connect at the Outback Steakhouse, and they will be able to meet each other there. They know each other. I'll explain who I'm having lunch with today and all of that stuff in a little bit, probably after lunch. So you're going to get the first half of this recording is my drive to lunch today, and I'll finish off this episode on my way home. So anyway, I usually have a little bit of time after the Next Level Mastermind before my next scheduled appointment is where I left off. And my next scheduled appointment on Wednesdays is at, that would be 11:30 a.m. Yes, that's right. At 11:30 a.m. every Wednesday, I facilitate the Green Room Mastermind Group. The Green Room is my own personal mastermind group with my friends Michael Stelzner, Pat Flynn, Leslie Samuel, Ray Edwards, Mark Mason, and myself. And this has been my personal mastermind group that I've been a part of since going all the way back to October 2010. And it has been the most important meeting of my life every single week since that time. And I look forward to it every single week to meet with those guys. And today I happened to be in the hot seat today, so I got to be in the hot seat. The focus was on me and what I've got going on in my business. It was an incredible time connecting with them. And then after the Next Level after the Green Room Mastermind that ends at 12:30, our call is 1 hour every week, whereas the Next Level Mastermind is 90 minutes every week. And the reason for that is because, there are up to 12 people in the Next Level Mastermind, and there are only 6 people in the Green Room. And the Green Room will not grow. We have agreed that our group is 6 people and will always be 6 people. So, anyway. So that goes until 12:30 in the afternoon, and then every Wednesday after the green room, Stephanie and I have a standing lunch appointment. We go out every week. It's kind of a mix between a business meeting, a lunch date, and just an afternoon together. So every Wednesday is devoted to my wife. And it is technically a business meeting. We talk a lot about business. Stephanie and I have been in business together since January 2008. You guys mostly hear about me and the things that I'm doing, but Stephanie is very much a huge part of my business and of our business. See, even it's my fault because I keep talking about my business, right? But it is and has always been our business. So every Wednesday we go and we have a lunch appointment. We talk about business-related stuff, but we also talk about personal stuff and stuff like that. And Wednesday afternoon, we spend that afternoon together. And then typically what I do is after that, I usually just sit back and relax a little while. Sometimes I take a nap, a brief nap, and then we will have dinner later in the day together as a family. And I go back into my office Wednesday evenings at 7 p.m. So from 7 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. Is that right? Or is it? Anyways, every Wednesday night we have a 90-minute meeting for the PM group of the Next Level Mastermind, and I facilitate that. 2 people are in the hot seat. After that call, I do the same thing. I process the recording of it, publish it online, and then I pretty much head up to bed. That's my day every Wednesday. So now the thing is that I love my Wednesdays. That it is the most rewarding thing that I do, to facilitate these mastermind group calls, to see the radical things that people are doing, just mindsets being shifted, people's beliefs about who they are, what they're able to achieve, getting answers to big questions, getting clarity on next steps. I love seeing that. And what I love about the mastermind, I mean, obviously, I know that I bring a ton to the table. I bring a ton when it comes to the mindset. I know that I bring a ton when it comes to the experiences that I've had over the last 12 years of building this business, but even, prior to that, with all the other things that I've experienced in life, I know that I have a lot of life experience to offer value from to these people. But man, I have people who have been other members of this group that have been in business for 25, 30 years. And some people who maybe they're relatively new to having their own business. But man, what they've experienced throughout their lifetime as an employee prior to this and other just occupations and stuff like that. I just love seeing the value that they bring to other people as well. Now I've got to see if I can get people to let me over. The one thing is being in a bright yellow Volkswagen Bug, people pay attention to what you're doing. So there we go. All right. So anyway, I love my Wednesdays. That's what I do every single Wednesday. It is a huge joy. But there's not much that I do on Wednesdays outside of those things. I try not to cram too anything else into it. I may this afternoon determine whether or not I'm going to look at my email inbox and get to inbox 0 today, which I'll probably talk more about on the way home from lunch. Then maybe I'll bring that up. But anyway, so the thing is that I wanted to record a solo episode for you guys, and well, tomorrow I'm not going to be in town. I'm leaving tomorrow morning. I've made a decision. I'm heading down to Franklin, Tennessee for the Tribe Conference. I made this decision last minute, and I will explain more about that decision after lunch as well, about why, what's been going on in my business. I'm going to share with you some very transparent details. I know I shared, what I did an episode not too long ago. It's not like I haven't done any solo episodes. It's just like it's been a while, and I want to catch you guys up. What have I been up to since I shared with you guys about the successes and failures and what I learned in my first year since the Big Leap? And and so I wanted to record a solo episode, and I want to get this thing out and produced so that I don't need to worry about getting it to you before Friday, because, well, quite frankly, I'm going on a road trip tomorrow, and when would I record this otherwise? So I'm like, hey, I know what I'll do. Instead of taking one of those recorded conversations that I did yesterday, I just want to go ahead and insert a solo episode from me. And why not do it old style? Handheld digital recorder, nothing more than that, and just share an on-the-go episode of the Cliff Ravenscraft Show. And let's get really crazy. Let's do it. I mean, I have to meet my wife at lunch with our friend James today, and I have to drive Abigail. Abigail's the name of my car. It stands for the Father's Joy. That's the meaning of the name Abigail is the Father's Joy. And whenever I get in behind the wheel of this beautiful dream car of mine, I feel the Father's joy, and that's why it's called Abigail. Anyway, I am 2 street lights away from. Actually, I'm gonna turn left here and go in the back way. But I'm almost to my destination for lunch, which is the Outback Steakhouse. And Stephanie and I normally have lunch together alone, but we have a friend of ours who's home. He's in town, home right now, visiting for, I guess, fall break. He goes to school somewhere else for acting, and his name is James Owens, and he is a future Oscar award-winning actor. And I look forward to telling you a little bit more about that story after I get back from lunch. But I'm pretty much here now, and yeah, I'm gonna wrap up part A of this episode, and after I finish having lunch with James and Stephanie, I'll come back and I'll tell you how this lunch appointment came about, and I'll also tell you what I've been working on in my business on the way home. Talk to you soon. Alrighty, my friends, I am back. What an amazing lunch. Let me go ahead and start the car here. Alright, guys, I just had an amazing afternoon lunch with my wife, Stephanie, and our great friend, James Owens, and I can't wait to tell you about how we met James. This is one of those stories that I believe did make it to a vlog episode that I did on YouTube, but I don't believe it's ever made it into a podcast episode, so I'm glad to finally be able to tell you this story. Okay, so many of you know that I made a commitment about 4 years ago to work out 6 days a week, every week, for the rest of my life. And my favorite place right now to go and do that workout is at Planet Fitness in Fort Wright, Kentucky. And I guess it was probably about 6 months ago, if I had to guess. The timing's not all that essential to the story. But I was at the gym, and I'm on the Stairmaster, and when I'm at the gym, I'm usually consuming some form of content, whether it's an audiobook or it's a Tony Robbins audio training material or podcast or video on YouTube or whatever. I'm usually listening to something in audio form. And you know, when you're at the gym, there's already, music playing in the background, and you got the sound of all the equipment and all that other stuff happening, and it's a pretty noisy environment. But then all of a sudden, there's this guy, and he works at Planet Fitness, and he's got this jet vacuum cleaner that is on his back. So it's kind of like a backpack vacuum cleaner. And it is super loud. And this guy is going around, and he's literally he's vacuuming every single inch of the floor. Now, Planet Fitness in Fort Wright, Kentucky is a massive building. And so it probably takes him about an hour and a half just to vacuum this entire area upstairs. And of course, he's doing that while I'm working out. And, you hear him the entire time, and the closer he gets to you, the louder the sound is, and it's just so annoying is how I felt. And every now and then I would actually go onto Instagram and I would add to my story, and I said, oh gosh, guys, he's back, Jet Vac. And I gave him, I said, this is my arch nemesis. And I just made, this fun joke out of, just how annoyed I was. And there's this super villain in my gym that shows up all the time. And I gave him the super villain name, Jet Vac. In fact, I created a hashtag Jet Vac. And it was, of course, this was a recurring thing. It was like every day over the summer. And my daughter was like, she's like, Dad, will you just give that kid, the guy's just trying to make some money. It's his job. Will you leave him alone? You shouldn't be making fun of him. And so of course she's right, And so I'm like, okay. And so after about a week and a half of daily posting in my Instagram story, he's back, my arch nemesis, Jet Vac, I went up to him. So he obviously comes out and he's doing his vacuuming and stuff, and I stopped my Stairmaster workout and I said, hey, excuse me, do you mind if I talk to you for a minute? He goes, sure, no problem. And I said, hey, my name's Cliff Ravenscraft, and I feel like I should apologize to you. And I told him the whole story with everything that I told you, and he goes, oh, really? No way. And he kind of got a kick out of it. I said, yeah. And I said, so it's like there's people all over the world who know you as hashtag Jet Vac. He goes, that's so cool. And so I'm glad he took it that way. And I said, but I just wanted to let you know. And he goes, hey, no big deal, man. It's like, hey, how can I find your social media channels? And so anyway, he introduced himself, and he was a super nice kid, and it was just amazing. And just the very next day, I go to the gym, and I'm walking towards the Stairmaster, and he says, hey, Cliff. And I'm like, hey, James. Actually, that's a whole nother story for another time. I actually forgot his name by the next day, and that's a huge big deal. And I did an entire, either a vlog episode or an Instagram story on that. And but I sit there and I said, listen, I feel guilty about this, but man, I know trust me. One thing I know is the importance of people's names, and I want you to know that I want to know you, and I've already forgotten your name. Would you mind telling me again? And he says, my name's James. He goes, no problem. I said, well, I will never forget it, because now every time I see you, I will think James, the brother of Jesus. So I'll just remember that Jesus's brother is my arch nemesis, Jet Vac. and well, believe it or not, it's crazy, it's silly, but it works. So I just remember just being impressed by him, that he remembered my name that very next day, and he made a point to go out of his way to come and say, hi, Cliff. And then after my workout, I stopped by and I actually included him in my Instagram story, and then we talked for a little while, and I found out that he is working just at Planet Fitness just as a summer job while he was back at home for the summer, and then he's going to go in the fall. He was going to head back to school for an acting school that he's a part of, and that begins the story of James versus, well, I'll just say the other guy. I won't say the name of the other guy. We'll just call him the other guy. T-O-G. Tog. We'll call him Tog. All right, so James versus Tog. I kind of like that. Anyway, so James versus Tog. And what happened was, through this conversation, I learned what James Owens is dreaming about for his future. He has a desire to be an actor. And I said, really? He says, I'm going to acting school. And I said, really? I said, what? So what's your dream of the future? He goes, well, I just want to, he said, I just want to go to school and get into acting. And, ideally my goal is that I'll be able to financially make ends meet as an actor. And I said, dude, hold on. Whoa. Let me just say this. First and foremost, you're going to make that. you'll do whatever it takes. If that's your goal, that is such a low bar to set. I mean, there are enough people out there who have a desire to be an actor. They'll go out and they'll get the odd acting jobs that'll pay the bills. And you're saying, you just want to be able to make sure that your financial, just basic needs are met. And no matter what, it seems to me like you're the kind of guy that's going to at least go get a job whenever things get tough, and you're going to find a way to make ends meet. And if that's your highest aspirations, unfortunately, I think you're going to achieve it. And he's like, unfortunately. And I'm like, yeah. I said, well, because I said, if that's as high as you set your goals, I think that's pretty much as high as you're going to, you're going to take actions that are going to help you achieve that outcome. I said, no, seriously. I said, if you could have anything you want, what would you really want? He goes, gosh, what would I really want? Well, I would want to be an award-winning actor. And I said, well, even more clear, is it television? Is it movies? What award do you... And he says, movies. I want to win an Oscar. And I'm like, dude, now we're talking. And he's like, and he just was so open to this realm of dreaming bigger dreams. And he goes, and I said, okay, so let me ask you this. Let me talk to you about the difference between wanting something and then going after it as if you're going to achieve it no matter what. So you have to decide right now, this is what you want. Is that what you want? He goes, yes, that's what I want. I said, are you willing? What are you willing to do to get it? Well, whatever it takes. And, that's moral, respect, all that other stuff. So I sit there, I said, okay, now I got a question for you. What are two things you can do within the next 24 hours that will get you closer to receiving your Oscar? He goes, and then he tells me about his applying for Juilliard and how he was actually turned down for Juilliard. And I sit there, I said, okay. I says, well, let me ask you this. Has anybody ever successfully graduated from Juilliard, but they were actually turned down the first time that they applied? He goes, well, yeah, there's plenty of people. I said, so are you telling me that for you, to get you closer, you desperately feel like Juilliard's a part of that? He goes, yeah. I said, so, well, okay. Well, what's going to get you closer to... Well, he goes, well, you can only apply, I think, so many times, and I think it's twice. And I said, so you're telling me that your goal is to reapply for Juilliard? He goes, well, it is now. And I'm like, awesome. And so I sit there, I said, what are some things that you can do to get closer to that within the next 24 hours? And he says, well, I said, and I asked him, I said, for example, do you know anybody that is in Juilliard that you know that could talk about, how they got in and what they felt attributed to that, and also that would be close enough to other people, somebody who's close enough to you personally, that they would be willing to investigate and ask friends of theirs who are in Juilliard what they felt attributed to their success in getting in. And I would imagine that some of their friends failed to get in, and they've probably evaluated, I wonder what caused them to not get in. Do you think you could have a conversation with anybody at Juilliard that you know that would be willing to help you figure out some of those distinctions? And he says, I do. And I said, so within 24 hours, do you think you could reach out to that person to schedule a call? And he goes, I can and I will. And I'm like, I like James Owens. This guy is awesome. And he did it. And I said, what are one or two more actions that you can take within the next 24 hours? He goes, well, one, I could reach out to my acting teacher and help them and get some help with some advice on writing some essays or something like that. And he says, and I also need to pick out new monologues. And I said, are those all things you can do within the next 24 hours? And he says, yes. And I said, will you do this? He goes, yes. And he did them. And so here I am. I'm going into the gym, on a daily basis, 6 days a week in Fort Wright. And every day I see James, he's like, okay, Cliff, I did those things. And I'm like, and he got to the point, he goes, I know what you're going to ask me. What are one or two or three things I can do within the next 24 hours? And he said, and he kept telling me these updates of things that he's doing. And as we're having conversations, I'm hearing more and more language from him, and I'm teaching him more and more principles of things that I've learned from Tony Robbins, Jim Rohn, Napoleon Hill, Earl Nightingale, and all these other guys. And I'm sharing it, and he is soaking this stuff up like a sponge. And we just have this great relationship and just an incredible experience back and forth with one another. And then when it came time for him, he says, Cliff, hey, I just want to let you know this is my last week before I head back to school. What an incredible... I said, James, here's my cell phone number. Text me anytime you want. I will always make time to jump on a phone call with you. And of course, I told him, he became aware. He says, what do you do for a living? I said, well, this is what I do for a living. And he goes, how much do people pay you? And I said, well, I don't do a lot of one-on-one like what I'm doing with you these days, but when I do, I get paid $1,500 an hour, or it's $3,500 for 3 one-hour calls with me. And he goes, oh my gosh. And I said, but let me tell you, I want to, let me turn down my thing here. Okay, so I said, I'm not looking to charge you anything. I'm not looking to get you as a client. I just feel led to help you. I'm thankful to have such margin financially in my life because of what I do and the people that I'm able to help. The people that work with me, they're able to leverage the things that I teach them, that it causes them to get such a financial return on their investment that it all works out. So I just want to reach out and help you. I just feel called to help you. You're such an awesome guy. I love your energy. And quite frankly, selfishly, I'm looking forward to the day when you will stand on the stage receiving your first Oscar. And selfishly, I want to hear my name when you're giving your list of people that you want to thank. I'm looking forward to the day when you're receiving your Oscar and you thank Cliff Ravenscraft from the stage. I'm desperately looking forward to that day, and I know that it will come. I can tell you that it will come based upon all the things that I know about what leads to success, and you, my friend, are somebody I want to invest in. He's like, well, I'll take it. And so the thing is that each day of that last week, we're more meaningful even than before. The final day together, I said, listen, hey, I mean what I said. Text me. And so, the other thing that I love about that is that he took that offer seriously, but he also never overly took advantage of it. You know what I mean? It's kind of the same way that I treat my relationship with people like Dan Miller and Michael Hyatt. I know that I could text these guys and ask these guys anything I want, night or day, but the reality is I make sure that if I reach out to them, it's for something that's gonna move the needle forward, and it's gonna allow them to have massive impact in my life. And I also want to make sure that I'm able to leverage whatever advice they're about ready to give me, and I'm willing to receive it and take action. So, and I try to be respectful of their time, and I don't do it too frequently. And so, I got a text message from James a couple weeks ago. He says, Cliff, do you have any time to get together for one of those calls that you said we could have? I'm really struggling with my time management here at school. And so I said, absolutely. How about this day at this time? Or I sent him my Calendly link, and he scheduled a call with me. And we had a call. And the thing is he thought that he had a problem with time management. And within the first 5 minutes, I said, I could teach you some things about time management, but quite frankly, James, you're a smart enough guy. You already know what you need to do in managing your time better. I already know enough about you to know that. What you're suffering from is a lack of leverage in your life, and you may call it motivation. And so what I did is I helped him discover what is the real purpose. What is his big why? What is his goals? What are his dreams? And also, more importantly, why does he want those things? And because I told him, I said, listen, you're in school, and you're going to have a lot of coursework, and you're going to have a lot of other things and obligations. And the question is, are these obstacles too big? Are they unrealistic? And who are some of the people that you admire as far as actors? Have they or have they not, when you study their lives, as we've talked about in the past, did they or did they not overcome much greater obstacles than what you're currently facing as a typical sophomore in college? He goes, and it's like, the question is how did they get through? They had a vision of their future and why they wanted that future. And he's like, you're so right. I never really thought about why I want all these things. Because he had just started wanting them and dreaming about the Oscar when we started talking in the summer. And he's like, And so by the end of that call, he's like, oh my gosh, now I completely understand why you say it. It's like, I don't need, wow, with this, okay, I'm gonna take this and run with it. So he did, and then I said, hey, when do you come back? Are you going to be coming back for fall break? And he says, yeah. I said, well, hey, if you want to have lunch with me and my wife, we'd love to take you out to lunch. He goes, I'd love that. And so he texted us last week and says, hey, I'm home from school. Is you guys still open for lunch? And so today we had lunch. And let me tell you, I asked him how things have been going, and he's like, Cliff, time management, not a problem. This is incredible. Like, this is how, I've been more motivated and stuff like that. And we had a lot of great conversations. Stephanie and I were able to pour into him a little bit, and he asked questions about how was Free the Dream, how did that come up, and he's like, Cliff, what does it take to put on a conference? How did you come up with your talks? What did you talk about? And at one point, Stephanie had to go ahead and leave so she could do stuff with the kids, but I stuck around a little bit longer, and I talked to him about what I shared in the first session at Free the Dream. I told him about my talk, and I sat there, I said, listen, I could give you this talk. We were comparing. He's like, hey, did you memorize all 7 of those talks that you gave? And I'm like, well, it's not like doing a play. Because, see, I told him, I said, what you may not know about me is I was a theater minor. So I know all about, getting a script and having to memorize it and stuff like that. And I said, public speaking for me is not like that. Maybe there's some people who try to do that, but that's not what most public speakers do. We know exactly where we're going and what the purpose of a talk is, and we have an outline, and we know the stories that we're going to cover. We know the main themes, but the reality is if I was to give the same talk 5 days in a row, each day that talk would be slightly different, but would cover all of the key main elements. And so I actually gave him an outline right there. I told him, I said, here's the opening story that I start with, and I even gave him an audio visual experience of what I did on the stage, and then I shared with him the formula that I taught, about thoughts plus emotions that are conditioned over time will always lead to our actions, which will always equal the results that we get. And I told him about how all of that fits together with this story that I opened with. And then I said, well, if you think the reality is you'll never be able to get different results in life unless you change your actions. And quite frankly, you'll never maintain lasting change in your actions or behavior if you don't change your beliefs or your conditioned thoughts and emotions. And I gave him examples of the thoughts and emotions that caused me to do the stupid thing that I did in the opening story. And I said, I'll do that every single time unless I change what I believe in. So here's the beliefs that I had. And I told him this, and you could just see, it's like, oh my gosh, I could apply this to so many areas of my life. Dude, this is life-changing. Cliff, this is amazing. And I said, yeah. I said, this is why I had to do the Free the Dream conference. And I said, that's only one of 7 talks that I did. He goes, oh my God. And it was the most amazing time. Now, I said that's the story of James versus Tog, the other guy. So Tog is a guy, it's not really his name, obviously, but Tog is a guy who I met at a drive-through of a fast food restaurant. It was Chick-fil-A. And Chick-fil-A, over the summer, there were several times that after I worked out, I would go through and get myself one of their whole wheat egg what do you call those McMuffins or whatever. It was called an egg white grill. So it was egg whites with the grilled chicken and an English muffin, whole wheat English muffin. 300 calories, super yummy. And occasionally I would stop in a couple days a week during the summer. And every day I would run into Tog. Now, I drive a 1974 Volkswagen Beetle, and people see this car and they have lots of questions and stuff. And this guy says, dude, what do you do for a living? And so I told him, I said, I help, I'm a business mentor and life coach. I help people start and grow profitable, successful online businesses. And I also help people learn how to succeed in life, and by changing their beliefs. He goes, "Oh, I'm trying to build an online business." And I'm like, "Really? Tell me about it." And he says, "Well, I'm trying to help people establish websites online and stuff." And I said, "Where can I find you online?" He goes, "Well, I haven't got around to creating my website yet." I'm like, "Well, how many people have you worked with?" Well, that's the thing. I'm trying to get this thing started. And I said, "Well, I'd love to give you some advice." I said, "I'll tell you what. I actually have a workshop that I teach called Building an Online Business, and people normally pay $2,000 for it. And if you go to mindsetanswerman.com/formula, you can listen to a podcast episode where I give you the most valuable piece of information that I share there for free." And he says, "Oh, that sounds really cool. Cool." And I said, "What's your phone number? I'll text the link to it to you." And so I texted him and I said, "Hey, that's my cell phone number. Click on that link and listen to it sometime. And if you have any questions, let me know." Basically, I'm giving him the same opportunity that I'm giving James Owens, aka JetVac from Planet Fitness. And this is, I met Tog from Chick-fil-A at the same time that I met James, like the same week. Now the thing is Tog says, "Oh, cool, thanks." And so the next day I pull through Chick-fil-A and I say, "Hey Tog, how's it going?" He goes, "I'm doing good." I said, "Hey, how's that business coming?" He goes, "Well, I still haven't done this, and I haven't had time." And I said, "Have you listened to that episode that I gave you a link to?" He goes, "No, I haven't had time yet, but I hope to do that, maybe this weekend." So I waited until the next week and I said, "Hey Tog, how's it going? Did you listen to that episode? How's your business pursuits going?" He goes, "Well, I haven't had a chance. I had this go on this weekend. I was going to do it, but I'm going on vacation in 2 weeks." And I'm like, "Okay." And so the next several days that I would pull in and I would say, "Hey Tog, where are you going on vacation? Hey Tog, how's that? I bet you're excited about vacation." He goes, "Oh man, I so need a break." And it's just always down and stuff like that. And then when he came back from vacation, I said, "Hey Tog, how was vacation?" He goes, "Oh, this happened and this happened. What, this happened and this, I didn't get to do." And I said, "Hey, so you didn't get a chance to listen to that podcast episode?" He goes, "No, I just don't know, blah, blah, blah. And my girlfriend left me and this happened and blah, 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 blah." And it's just negative. He's a victim of everything. Woe is me. And finally, I just stopped asking. And it was weird because all of a sudden, I'm going through the line and Tog's like, "Hey," and I say, "Hey," and I got to the place where I already knew the answer was he's not listened to it. I already knew the answer. He hasn't taken any steps in his business, and I already knew the answer that life is against him. And I mean, I would love to pour into him. I would love to share. I would love to invest. But the reality is he's made up his mind. And each day we go through line, rather than being that chipper, follow the script at Chick-fil-A, he all of a sudden he unloads negative, "Oh man, hey guys, dude, I can't believe this. I can't even get a break here, blah, blah, blah." It's like, oh my gosh. And I felt terrible because one day when he told me that his girlfriend had left him, Stephanie and I were talking, and I'm like, I know I shouldn't think this. I know I shouldn't say this. I shouldn't even be telling you guys the story, but it's like, if I was his girlfriend, I would have left him. And it's just that here's the interesting thing. I would have just been as equally excited about pouring into Tog from Chick-fil-A as I was James Owens from Planet Fitness. But one was able to see the opportunity and see the opportunity for growth, and to say, wow, this is somebody who's really interested in what I desire to get out of life, and said, you know what, I'm going to take the time to pursue this opportunity. And the other one consistently blew it off. And I've not given up on the other guy. I've not completely eliminated, but I can tell you right now, I'm more apprehensive about going out of my way to reach out because, well, that's what happens when you have that outlook on life. Anyway, with all of that being said, I'm now pulled into my neighborhood, and the one thing I can tell you is that what's been going on in my business. I had come back from Free the Dream. I will tell you that for the first time in 12 years, there was a time where I got more than a month behind on emails. I mean, I answered everything that was absolutely essential for me to answer in my email inbox, but anything that wasn't mission critical got put off. And so there were, I'm still there as I'm recording. When I go into my office, I believe when I left, there were 12 emails in my inbox. That's down from 190 and from last week. And the reality is that there were emails last week that were from September 9th, and I'm recording this on October 24th, I think. So I had never been so behind on emails like this before. And but I'm almost caught up on that. I've been there since Free the Dream. I got all of the audio and video recordings from the conference. Everything is inside of my Kajabi account. I am turning Free the Dream, what happened at that event, it's the most highest produced, it's the best video production of any content I've ever produced. It's the talks that I gave are the most valuable talks I've ever given. It's the best presentation, the best information, life-altering. And I'm going to be creating a Free the Dream training product. It's going to help you unleash your true potential of what you are able to achieve in this world, help unlock you from what's been holding you back from living the life of your dreams. And so it is going to be an incredible product. And I have now that all of that is done, I have created what I believe is going to be the perfect model of getting people this material, getting people to take action on this material. I'm going to give you some insight of what I plan to do. So I plan to give away my first session of the Free the Dream product. You'll get it for free. And if that's all you get is this free first session, it alone will radically, profoundly change your life. Absolutely guaranteed, hands down, it will change your life. And that has been the response of every single individual who has gone through it. And so it's going to be awesome. The thing is, though, is it's just the first of 7 talks that I gave at Free the Dream. And it is the 5 that go right after it. It's actually taking that to the next level. And then the session after that takes it to the next level, which takes it to the next level. And not only do you get all the talks that I gave at Free the Dream, but Dan Miller, Ray Edwards, Daphne Scott, PJ Jonas, Leslie Samuel. I mean, my wife, Stephanie. It just is incredible what is involved in this training product for Free the Dream. So I'm gonna give away the first session, and that's going to be getting people into the email opt-in. And of course, I'm going to nurture those people who sign up to get the free access to that first session. And I'm going to ask them questions through an automation, and I'm going to ask people to reply and say, "Tell me, hey, what breakthroughs did you have? What are you going to do as a result of what you learned from that first session?" And obviously, the hope is that some of those people will see. I mean, I know that a great number of those people are going to say, "Oh my gosh, if I got so much value out of this, heck yeah, I definitely want to buy the entire product." And it's going to be $4.99. I've already had some folks buy it because I sent out one email promoting just the product itself without the free first session. But so anyway, so the idea is that they'll go through the Free the Dream product, and I'll be able to invite them to be a part of the Free the Dream community, which is a part of the Facebook group that I have, and they can connect with the other people who experienced it live and have also experienced it through this product. I'm super excited about that. Another thing that I've done since Free the Dream is I hosted another Next Level workshop. I did not market it heavily. In fact, I shared in an episode of this podcast a couple weeks ago, my whole previous mindset about marketing multiple products and services at the same time. I've worked on that belief system. I'm still working through some nuances of that about whether or not do I still want to promote two different live events, one being the big conference and then the other being the workshop. There's value in both. But one thing I did is I went ahead and did this workshop in October, and I had 2 people come, and trust me, those guys loved the fact that they got such personalized training and teaching in building an online business, and I'm already excited about the feedback, or not the feedback, but the check-ins that I'm getting from them, the updates of actions that those guys are taking, and it's big. It's just like the other people. I mean, if you go to nextlevelworkshop.info, you will see the testimonials that are there. Their results are the same. And that's been exciting to see. But the interesting thing is I recorded video. I've always recorded audio of these Next Level workshops that I've taught. And I've provided the audio recordings to the attendees. But this time I recorded video. And it's actually really decent video. It's definitely not the same video production quality as the Free the Dream product. Trust me, I paid a ton of money for video production for Free the Dream, and it is top-notch, highest quality. It's broadcast quality production for Free the Dream product. But this, on a scale of 1 to 10, Free the Dream product, the video production is a 10 out of 10, or maybe even a 20 out of 10. It's that awesome. The video production quality of what I recorded for the Next Level workshop is about a 6.5 is what Ray said. I said 7 out of 10, but I agree with Ray Edwards. He saw it, and he said about 6.5. But certainly it is definitely worth having as a version 1 of an online course for building an online business. Literally taking everything I taught as I taught it to these 2 gentlemen that were here at the Building an Online Business Workshop Live. I basically recorded me teaching them this material, and I can turn that into an online course. And so that's something that's on the roadmap as well. But my priorities right now are, number 1, filling the remaining spots of the Next Level Mastermind. If you're interested, those spots are going to go fast. Head over to nextlevelmastermind.info. nextlevelmastermind.info. Apply for the Next Level Mastermind today. And read through those instructions on the step-by-step process, because there's only 2 spots available in the AM group, only 4 spots available in the PM group of the Next Level Mastermind. That's number 1 priority. Number 2 priority on my list is to create the actual automation of offering people the first session for free, and then giving them the opportunity and the messaging to upgrade to purchase the whole Free the Dream product for $4.99, and then the process of how do those people get moved into the Free the Dream community after they've gone through the material, and what does that look like. That needs to be done. I was going to do that tomorrow and Friday, but I did decide to push that back to next week so that I can go to the Tribe Conference down in Franklin, Tennessee. I was up in the air between the Tribe Conference in Franklin, Tennessee, which is tomorrow, or which is Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, or Igniting Souls, which is in Columbus, Ohio, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. The same dates for both conferences, and both of them are conferences I definitely wanted to attend. But I ended up deciding to go down to Franklin for a couple reasons. Number 1, it's at the factory, which is where I hosted my event. Lauren and Matt Brady are the event planners, so they're my event planners. I'll be able to touch base with them. I get to go down and hang out and meet with Michael Hyatt at his brand new offices in downtown Franklin on Friday morning. I'm going to get to network and connect with some of my other friends that are down there, Dan Miller and some other, well, I don't know. Is Dan going to be at Igniting Souls? I don't know. I need to look into that. Anyway, but, and then of course, the speakers and friends, Jeff Goins, I'll get to connect with him, Mike Kim, Amy Schmidauer, or actually Amy Landino now. So many of my other friends that are down there and all the other amazing folks that come to the Tribe Conference. And hey, the Tribe Conference is where I originally had the initial first idea of hosting the Free the Dream Conference. And so it'd be fun to go back and just have conversations with people and tell them the story of how the whole thing was birthed there as an idea, and now it's a reality, and the experience that people had and stuff like that. And there'll be people who were at Free the Dream who will be at Tribe. It's going to be an incredible experience. And so I'm looking forward to going down to that. So priority number 2, which is building out everything that will automate the process of marketing this free first video from the Free the Dream product into the online course that people can participate in and stuff like that. I'm going to work on that next week. And then priority number 3 on my list is creating a full-blown marketing campaign and strategy for Free the Dream 2019. Once I get the Free the Dream online product taken care of, then it's the marketing strategy for Free the Dream 2019. And then after that is the potential of creating a building an online business workshop online course. So that would be item number 4. And then item number 5 is potential live versions of the workshop and also one-on-one mentoring calls as requested. But that's priority number 5. So those are the things that are going on in my business. I wanted to desperately do another one-on-one, just me sharing with you guys. And I'm going to ask you guys to give me some feedback. Those of you who have listened through to this episode, I want to hear from you about these conversations that I've been having. The conversation I had with Clint Schumacher, a one-on-one mentoring client that I worked with. Conversation that I had with Paul Thompson and also Casey Price. I had several people who have emailed me individually about each of those 3 conversations that I've had with people that I've had the honor and privilege to do life with, to work with through the products and services I have. My question is, at this point, if you're hearing this episode and you've listened to previous episodes of those nature, are you guys enjoying those conversations? Are you finding valuable insights from hearing other people share their journeys? I have already recorded 2 more of those conversations, as I talked about earlier, and I have at least 5 more scheduled already, and I have another 15 people that I have in mind to invite, and beyond that, I have 87 people. Well, actually, some of those 15 are people who are part of the 87 who came to Free the Dream. My idea would be to interview everyone who came through Free the Dream and just talk about who those people are, what experiences have they had in life, and how has the message of what has been shared, how is it impacting them, what's resonating with them, how is it, I want to know, are those conversations here in this podcast beneficial to you? And right now I'm just going to ask you to base it upon the conversations I had with Clint Schumacher, Paul Thompson, and Casey Price. Have you enjoyed those 3 conversations? Would you like more of those? And the other thing is I feel personally led to make sure that rather than just putting them all back to back, I'm going to give you some solo episodes of just me and you talking, just me sharing off the top of my head, exactly like this episode. Just, hey, want to check in. As far as I'm concerned, I really think of the Cliff Ravenscraft Show as a solo hosted show, and it's me and you talking. But quite frankly, I also love these conversations for multiple purposes. I think that, well, obviously they help promote the products and services. You get a feel for who I work with and the amount of value I'm adding to people's lives with the people that I work with the various products and services. I think it gives you a good feel. And maybe some of these stories you're hearing, it's like, man, I really resonate with that. And it's kind of cool to hear that's how Cliff is helping other individuals. And maybe now that I think about it, I guess maybe I am a good fit for one of Cliff's products and services. Maybe I am a good fit for that Next Level workshop, or maybe I am a good fit for that Free the Dream product. Maybe I am a good fit for the Next Level Mastermind. I mean, there's definitely that purpose. But I also thought, well, maybe these conversations are valuable for you guys to say, hey, I resonate with somebody who hasn't got it all figured out yet. I like to hear these stories of people who are on the pursuit of what dreams that they have, and hearing about who they are and what's driven them to get to the place where they are, and to hear that they're actively engaging other people in the pursuit of what they want. And it's kind of it's not, these conversations aren't always like other entrepreneurial podcast episode interviews where everybody's got this inspiring story of massive success that you've just got to hear about all the things that they've achieved. These are people who are in the process of pursuing their dreams. And I think it's a unique approach to some of that as well. I don't know. I want to hear, I have my own perspectives. I have my own thoughts. I want to share more of these conversations with you guys. I want to definitely make sure I pop in here with these solo episodes. And even an idea has been, do I put out one conversation per week each week and occasionally throw in a second episode during the week? Not every week, but occasionally throw in just a solo episode like this where I jump in here. One thing I got to tell you, I love the fact that I'm doing a handheld recording. I'm obviously home now. I'm sitting on my front porch. I've got my Roland R-05 digital recorder in my hand. This is so old school, my friends, and I love it. I love that I'm actually doing this, and I'm thinking. Anyway, but it's Wednesday afternoon. Stephanie had some other things that she had to do, so we're not spending the rest of the afternoon together. I do think I'm going to go in here. I'm going to edit this episode together. I'm going to release this episode this week, and I'm going to probably then go take a nap before I have dinner with the family this evening, and then do the evening session of the Next Level Mastermind. Tomorrow morning, I'll get up. I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to come back, get showered. I'm going to hit inbox 0 tomorrow. I'm going to put off the production of those recordings that I did yesterday. Those can wait until I get back next week. Everything else can wait until next week. And then tomorrow afternoon, I'm going to go pick up a rental car, and then I'm going to drive down to Franklin, Tennessee, and I'm going to have an incredible weekend with any of you that I'm going to see at the Tribe Conference or anywhere else around Franklin. So if you're going to be in Franklin, Tennessee this weekend, make sure to send me a text message if you've got my contact information. If you don't, email me. And by the way, if you want to be notified as soon as the free version of the first session of my Free the Dream product, you've been holding off on buying the Free the Dream product, the $500 product to gain access to all of it. If you're interested in getting the first session for free, email me and say, put in the subject line, free session. And just put subject line, free session, and email me, cliff@cliffravenscraft.com. I'll put you on the list, and as soon as I get that available next week, when I get back into town, you'll be the first to have access to that free session. And I promise you this. I do promise you this. If you go through it, it will radically, profoundly change your life. That I can promise. And if it doesn't, I'll give you your money back. But seriously, reach out to me, cliff@cliffravenscraft.com. Don't forget, nextlevelmastermind.info. Until next time, my friends, I encourage you to take everything you do to the next level.